Hey everybody, Tom Sheehan here of Compass, here with your latest Greater Boston real estate market update. In this update, we're going to be talking about what we saw in the summer, what happened in the summer, and what that leads us to believe is going to be the market conditions come the fall. We have our official through July numbers, and then we have a pretty good idea of what the August numbers will look like. And now 2 weeks into September, we already have a pretty good idea of what to expect for the fall market. So first, just to recap for what went on in the summer. As you may recall, when we had the numbers through May, we still hadn't really seen the true effects of COVID-19 on the market because we didn't have the official May numbers yet. But now we have those, and the official May numbers are really a true indicator of what was happening at the end of March and early April, smack dab when COVID-19 was having its greatest effects on our society. You might remember that in the early spring of 2020, before COVID-19, the Greater Boston real estate market was absolutely on fire, with buyers out in full force and the listings going very quickly. But as we can see in the May numbers, there was definitely a few week period there where things came to a halt. We saw the median sale price of both single family homes and condos lose a lot of momentum that they had going into the month. And we still saw a great reduction in the number of homes listed for sale, while also seeing a year-over-year increase in the days on market. And we also saw some signs that the condo market was going to be more negatively affected than the single family market. Come June, when we saw the median sale prices, we still saw some leveling off from where we were before, and some indications that while the market was starting to creep out of the unknown, when we look at the June numbers, we see that still there was some caution in the market where prices weren't nearly appreciating at the rapid rate that they had been. And we were seeing that market activity, when compared to last year, was reduced by about 25%. Also in June, we started to see the disparity in the condo and single family market get very dramatic. In June of 2020 compared to June of 2019, we saw 20% more condos listed for sale. Single families, on the other hand, saw only a slight uptick. So while condos were making up for the lost number of listings during the spring market due to COVID-19, the single family market was staying stagnant. And that was reflected in the days on market, where in June of 2020, single family homes sold for about the same length of time as they did in June of 2019, whereas the condos days on market increased by 10% when compared to the previous year. It was in July where, if you look at the numbers in the future, you're going to see really the most dramatic effects of COVID-19 and how the market adjusted to it. We saw significantly more listings in July of 2020 than pretty much any July in recent memory. This July, there was 30% more single family homes listed for sale in July of this year when compared to July of last year, and a whopping 60% more condos listed for sale this year compared to last year. In July, people who had planned on selling their homes but didn't in the spring decided they were comfortable enough to list their homes for sale now. And despite that huge increase in inventory, the year-over-year comparison of the number of days on market, the number of length of time that it takes to sell a home, single-family homes were selling at a 17% higher clip, and condos were selling at a 12% faster clip. And we saw those single-family median home prices recover off that leveling off on the appreciation and tick back up on their year-over-year gains. The condo values didn't recover that same momentum that they had in March, but still, year-over-year, the median sale price of a condo was 3% higher in 2020 through July when compared to July of 2019. So the reality is there were a lot more home buyers coming into the market and wanting to buy a home and maintaining an incredibly seller-friendly market. Pushing up that median sale price for both single families and condos was an overall reduction in the level of inventory. Through July, we had seen 15% fewer homes listed for sale when compared to 2019. And for condos, we had seen a 7% reduction. Combine that low inventory with incredibly low interest rates, which were boosting buyers' buying power, and you have an incredibly seller-friendly market, resulting in the increase of prices. And what happened in August? Well, we don't have those official numbers yet, but my in the trenches view was that we had a much more active market in August than we had seen in recent memory. We saw more listings than we usually do, and we saw a lot more buyer activity than we usually do. I expect when those final numbers come in, we're going to see a really strong jump in the median sale price of both single families and condos, but especially in single family homes. Single family homes are just so desirable right now, and you don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand why. More people working from home, more people staying at home, wanting more space and more outdoor space so that they can enjoy themselves more so when they're stuck at home. If there's one segment of the real estate market that has been dramatically negatively affected by COVID-19, it's the rental market. We've been seeing 4 times the level of rental inventory in this year compared to years past. That is leading to a reduction in rental rates and landlords finding themselves competing for renters, and for the first time in many of their cases, finding themselves having to incentivize renters to rent their places. Why is this case? Well, for one thing, a lot of our rental market is driven by the colleges and universities, which have not, in some cases, returned fully back in person. Another is the low interest rates, which allow home buyers to get a lot more house for less money than they could have in years past. And in the last case, I think for many landlords, they weren't incentivized to keep their rentals maintained and in a good condition. So you have a lot of renters just simply fed up and living in a place that isn't very nice and wanting to find a place of their own that they can maintain and keep in better condition. So what can we expect when we get into the fall? Well, I still think we're making up for lost time from our spring market. There's still a ton of buyers out there and not enough listings to satisfy them. And this is something I've talked about in years past. Fall has tended to be a little bit of a softer market, better for buyers than it is for sellers. But why I think that is going to change this year is because we're going to have an overall lowering of the level of inventory, simply because some people who had planned to move or sell their home have changed their mind. And in years past, a segment of the buyer pool, which would have been on a September 1st rental schedule and haven't had just renewed their lease, left the market, are more motivated this year to remain in the purchase market, likely having negotiated better terms of their current leases, either as a month-to-month renter or a lowering of their rental rate, which might be giving them confidence that they could sublease their current apartment if they found the right home to buy. So I don't expect this fall market to be as buyer friendly as some past fall markets, but benefit to be noted for the incredibly low interest rates, which I don't see going up anytime soon. So to recap, bottom line, market still very seller friendly, and for buyers, you're just going to need to be ready to compete for the most desirable homes. Where do I see things going after the fall? It's really hard to say. To say the least, there are way more factors this year that are going to impact the market than in prior years. For one thing, we still are dealing with the effects of COVID-19, and we have the unknowns of how our society will handle it when we are forced to be inside more due to the winter, and maybe contending with the seasonal flu. We have our presidential election, and then we have the effects of both of those things on our overall economy. So to put it shortly, I can't say with any confidence what's going to happen in the winter and spring of 2021. All we know is what is happening right now. So that is your market update. If you have any questions about your own situation, whether it's you thinking of selling or buying or doing both, don't hesitate to reach out, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'd be happy to help you in any way I can. Thanks so much for watching, and be well.